Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby podcast. Now, so far this season, as our guest, we've had Tom, who won our UCD Prediction League. We had David, who won the forfeit prize, also known as the Jersey of Shame. And this week, to complete the set, we have the winner of our new knockout competition, the Harpin Mug. He's here earning his 70th Harpin cap on the pod. And there it is. Welcome to Mr. Connor Cronin.
Great to be back. Great to be able to get good use out of this mug as well. My favorite part of the mug is not the details that I won, but it's what's on the back, where it reminds me all the people I beat on the way there, including who was that in the final? Oh, sorry, yeah, you. Uh,
Okay,
I beat Tom
I
in the
wasn't
semi-final, and he
gonna
went
bring
on to
that up, but
win.
I was happy to have beaten Mr. Statman Kino in the semifinal, but I left it all out in the field, and I didn't hold on to it for the final, and you got the better of me. But no, it was a bit of crack and fair play, and
And,
we'll see
and
how we
and you
get
know
on.
what? It was our kind of final scoreline as well. You know, it was only tiny margins in it,
Yep.
half a point. Um, but yeah, very,
Yeah,
very proud owner of this.
it's probably a late Dragons drop goal that clinched it or something like that. But listen, it's all a bit of crack. Listen, let's turn our attention to what happened in the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria, which is our main topic of discussion this week. Here's a generic 80-word summary of the match. Leinster fell 39-31 to the Vodacom Bulls in Pretoria, despite a spirited comeback, trailing 22-10 at halftime. Tries from Cooney, Tommy O'Brien, Penny, and Clarkson, plus Prendergast's place kicking, briefly gave them a 24-22 lead. Tactical shifts and sharp handling kept them in contention, but altitude, missed chances, and a late interception try by David Creel sealed the Bulls' win. Leinster earned a try bonus point, showing grit and attacking flair, but couldn't quite finish the job in a thrilling URC clash. Now, obviously, we'll be going into a bit more detail than that, and after focusing last week on Leinster's difficulties in attack and saying how important it was to turn that around, since we went from 0 points to 31, I suppose we did manage something of an improvement, Connor.
Yeah, look, anything was an improvement, I think, based on last week. And I was so frustrated at the end of last week that it just felt like, with the exception of one very early opportunity coming off a maul, and then we fumbled the ball, and it never looked like we were going to score after that. And that was the disappointing part for me last week, was getting nilled and never looking like we had it in us to get any more than that. Whereas this week, as you've mentioned, at one stage we've got a lead. We've got tries from forwards and backs. We've got good game management. We've much better attacking shape. And we've a lot of players who kind of put their hand up and said, "Yeah, I want to get on the scoring here, please. I want to do something that makes a difference for going forward." I think a from looking at the set piece, which was messy last week. I mean, it was, did any forwards get off the bus messy, and then set piece became a real platform for us. It became a space where we go from conceding penalties left, right, and centre at the scrum last week to winning penalties, and that those opportunities creating field territory, good lineouts. I haven't looked at the stats for the game, but I really feel like our lineout was actually effective. Like, it was actually making inroads compared, particularly compared to last week. And it just felt like everybody had a better idea of where they were meant to be and when they were meant to be there. Of course, there's times when, somebody's a half step ahead and the ball is thrown behind him, or somebody hasn't run on fast enough and so knocks on as he goes to reach badly for a ball. And those moments are still going to happen this early in the season. But as I say, it was just that sense that there was not just desire. There was clearly desire to get over the line this time. There was clearly desire to get more scores on the board. The fact that we were 12-0 down and we went for that early penalty. Um, you know, just saying, lads, let's settle the nerves here. Let's put something on the board, and everything we build after this is worth doing. And I think that from that perspective, good decision making was a big part of that. I think we made a lot of good decisions. We made a couple of bad decisions later on in the game. I mean, there were moments where we backed our attack just a little bit too much. And I think we might have been better towards the very end of the game, kicking for the points rather than going for another try. But look, I just think that we had a better shape. We had more players looking for inroads, looking for opportunity. Even some of the runs that players had. There was one lovely moment where Will Connors cut some crazy angle trying to go through after a line out. And it was quite surprising to see, where last week it just felt very one out, direct, go straight. We don't know what else to do. And this week there was creativity, there was opportunity, there was just a generally more positive flow to how the attack was shaping up. And little glimpses into what Blaine Dahl might actually be looking for from the players. Again, as I said already, far from perfect, but to run in 4 tries and 4 very different tries as well. That's, well, I say 4 very different tries. Clarkson's try and Penny's try could be deemed very, very similar to each other, but it's that spread between forwards and backs shows creativity, shows invention. We've got Sam with some great kicking out of hand, looking for territory, looking for space. We had any second now, Luke McGrath's name will come back into my head. With Luke McGrath with box kicks that were genuinely contestable, looking for ways we could make moves going forward, looking for ways where we could get players into space. I was quite happy with the attack in general, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the game in isolation from a Leinster point of view, we would generally say, well, God, we could have gotten the 5 points. That would be the starting point. Like, we led twice in the second half. We had the lead and we handed it back to them. And I would say most of the Bulls scores came from opportunities we handed them. But you can't help but compare. You've always got last week as context, right? And we were talking last week about, we made a whole point here on the pod about just where was the attack? I mean, what were we actually even trying to do? Just the basic ability to advance the ball down the field ourselves. There just was no getting into the Stormers 22 unless they gave away a penalty. It just wasn't happening. We no strategy. So if nothing else, it was almost a shot to nothing in Pretoria, where we kind of knew the Bulls had always beaten us there. There was a chance. There was always a chance we were going to lose, but we had to at least fix that issue, if nothing else. And they most certainly did that. I mean, even that 3 points, when we finally got that duck egg off the board, I know we were already 12-0 down, and we will talk about that. But the ball, we started with the ball further back, and we moved the ball up the field, won a penalty, and took the penalty. That's how we've always gotten scores in the past. And then you take the try, like we'll talk about individuals later on, but the Tommy O'Brien try in the second half, we had just scored, and we took the restart and literally went. I mean, Tommy O'Brien caught the ball in one corner, and then couple of minutes later, he was scoring in the other corner. There was a little bit of a lucky bounce along the way, but usually the advancement of the ball, there was good runs from the likes of Cooney. I think Baird had a run, and there was a lot of good carries. But it was the attack patterns as well. The passes were crisp, the support lines were perfect, the blocking runs were good. Everything was how we expect it to be. How it should have been last week in Cape Town. So, there was definitely a lot of positives on the attacking front.
There's definitely that sense that players were just more switched on to each other, because I say the ball went forward. that was a really big thing for me. Like that, just in comparison to last week. I mean, it's no less than the standards we expect normally. We want to see that from Leinster all the time. We want to see that kind of positive go forward play. but players were actively engaged in trying to find, okay, where's the soft shoulder and where are the yards to be gained? And I'm expected to do a big carry now, so I'm going to do a big carry now. And not just that then as well, like a little bit of guile, a little bit of subterfuge in there as well, trying to find, create space for the backs to run into.